This is Sangsi's Begarim. I'm Censor Seju. Indonesia recently dealt a major blow to Korea. Indonesia has betrayed Korea multiple times over KF-21 fighter jet costs, but this incident was significant. Indonesia has begun working with North Korea. Let's examine this issue today. Indonesia helped develop the Korean supersonic fighter jet, the KF-21. Korea is stressed because Indonesia cut its share of the KF-21 fighter jet development costs from 1.6 trillion won to 600 billion won. Since 2016, Indonesia agreed to cover 20% of development costs, receiving one prototype and 48 fighter jets produced locally. Indonesia stopped paying its share in January 2024 due to budget shortages, then in August 2024 announced it would pay only 600 billion won. By agreeing to reduce the amount to 600 billion won and limiting technology transfer, Indonesia significantly betrayed Korea. They signed a contract with Turkey to introduce 48 Khan 5th-generation fighter jets. Additionally, 5 Indonesian technicians sent to Korea Aerospace Industries were caught in December 2024 attempting to steal KF-21 fighter jet data and were handed over to the prosecution. A bigger issue is Indonesia's recent agreement to cooperate with North Korea on technology and other areas. It's the first official visit by Indonesia's foreign minister to North Korea in 12 years. Indonesia and North Korea have maintained close diplomatic cooperation based on a long-standing friendly relationship, but this time they actually went to North Korea and promised technological cooperation. There are concerns that KF-21 fighter jet technology developed with South Korea could be leaked. The Indonesian public radio broadcaster Al Arai reported that Indonesian Foreign Minister Sugiono held talks with North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-in on the occasion of attending the 80th anniversary celebration of the founding of the North Korean Workers' Party. Minister Sugiono and North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-in signed a memorandum for cooperation in defense technology and other fields. As a result, many people are expressing concerns. The problem is that Indonesia contacted North Korea without prior consultation with South Korea. Cooperating with North Korea on defense technology requires prior consultation with South Korea, but they did not do this. They rushed to North Korea to sign a defense technology memorandum of understanding, prompting strong concerns from many experts. There are growing warnings that as Indonesia forms a technology cooperation relationship with a country like North Korea, which is sanctioned by the international community, it is impossible to completely rule out the possibility that South Korea's advanced defense technology could flow into a third country. In fact, North Korea has tried through various channels to acquire foreign military technology in order to rapidly advance its air power, missile and guidance technology, and electronic warfare systems, which had clear limitations with its own technology. Cooperating with Indonesia is becoming a sensitive issue, aligning with North Korea's goals. In particular, Indonesia, as a co-developer of the KF-20, has access to a considerable level of technology. The structural design of the fighter jet, avionics equipment, radar technology, and engine-related integrated systems are themselves the core competitiveness of Korea's defense industry. Experts commonly point out that if this kind of information were to leak outside, it could go beyond a simple loss and fundamentally shake national security. North Korea has recently boosted military ties with Russia and increased diplomacy with Southeast Asia. This is interpreted as a strategy to circumvent sanctions and an effort to secure new channels for the inflow of technology. As soon as news of technological cooperation with Indonesia emerged, defense and diplomatic experts quickly speculated that North Korea might use Indonesia as a technology intermediary. The Defense Acquisition Program Administration firmly opposed this. They said all KF-21 technologies are protected by non-disclosure agreements, with strict control over research staff and material access. They also emphasized that the Indonesian technicians' stay and work in Korea are being managed under a strict monitoring system. However, public concerns persist due to past cases of Indonesian technicians caught attempting to remove materials without permission. Although the incident was dismissed without charges, many already suspected it wasn't just a simple event. This unease comes from accumulated memories. For a technologically advanced country like Korea, it must thoroughly block all possibilities, and at the same time, it stands at a critical point where it is being tested for trustworthiness by its partner countries. North Korea has recently broadened its diplomacy to Southeast Asia. After close ties with China and Russia, North Korea is now reaching out to Southeast Asian countries. North Korea is seen as trying to end its diplomatic isolation, promote the idea that sanctions are ineffective, and behave like a normal nuclear-armed state. Currently, North Korea has invited the heads of state of Vietnam and Laos on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party. Vietnam's top leader last visited North Korea 18 years ago, and Laos's leader visited 14 years ago. On top of that, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that the Indonesian foreign minister visited North Korea for the first time in 12 years shows how much North Korea is interested in diplomacy. North Korea has long focused on diplomacy with Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The only regional multilateral security consultative body that North Korea participates in is also the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Regional Forum. North Korea's nuclear development increased its isolation, but with the new Cold War era, these relationships appear to be recovering. The recent Pyongyang military parade, with Vietnam's General Secretary Rum standing beside Kim Jong-un, also symbolically demonstrates this. Indonesia and Vietnam promoting defense exchanges with North Korea is making the Korean Peninsula's security landscape more complex. Since Vietnam has adopted the K9 self-propelled howitzer, a key South Korean defense export, this is seen as a serious issue for South Korea. There are rising concerns that Vietnam's military cooperation with North Korea could directly or indirectly expose our technology. In fact, on October 10th, North Korea's Choi Sun-hee, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and No Kang-chol, Minister of National Defense, as well as Vietnam's Phan Van Giang, Minister of National Defense, and Le Hoi Trung, Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, officially agreed in North Korea to expand cooperation in various fields, including foreign affairs, defense, and health. The simultaneous attendance of both countries' foreign affairs and defense heads is seen as a sign of genuine cooperation. The joint statement lacked specifics on military cooperation, but Vietnam has long relied on Russian-made weapons. And considering that North Korea is familiar with the technical structure of former Soviet equipment, there is analysis suggesting that the two countries are quite likely to pursue practical military technical cooperation in areas such as weapons maintenance, training, systems, and information sharing. Since United Nations sanctions prevent North Korea from official arms deals, it is increasing unofficial cooperation with countries outside the sanctions network. Experts warn that if Vietnam joins these channels, it could cause technology leaks and security instability, not just diplomatic issues. The K9 self-propelled howitzer is a strategic weapon with core technologies like the Korean-style barrel control, fire control device, and automatic loader. Vietnam is expected to work with Korean technicians and local teams for technology transfer and equipment maintenance. If North Korea indirectly accesses Korean technology via Vietnam, it could pose a serious security risk. Of course, the Vietnamese government has officially stated that it respects United Nations sanctions and maintains the position that economic cooperation or arms deals with North Korea are difficult. Recently, Vietnam has strengthened ties with North Korea, China, and Russia to emphasize diplomatic autonomy from the West. If this continues, defense cooperation will likely expand. The issue is North Korea's approach. North Korea favors gray area cooperation like technology exchange, military training, and information sharing over direct arms deals. This approach lets them get the needed military information without directly violating United Nations sanctions, making cooperation with Vietnam a possible channel. South Korea is worried that countries it has sold defense products like the K9 to are increasing military ties with North Korea. Despite security agreements and measures to prevent technology leaks, management levels in the field differ greatly between countries. Vietnam's actions are becoming a new factor in the Korean Peninsula's security, not just a diplomatic event. With North Korea seeking to end its technological and diplomatic isolation by building ties with Southeast Asian countries, South Korea must prepare for these efforts to grow. Looking forward, this issue may become a new security factor linking the Korean Peninsula and Southeast Asia beyond just a diplomatic action by Indonesia or Vietnam. North Korea's efforts to strengthen diplomatic and military cooperation with Southeast Asian countries is clearly a strategic move aimed at both evading sanctions and securing technology. With rising risks of South Korea's defense technology being exposed via other countries, it's urgent to strengthen technology protection and expand information monitoring. South Korea's trust with Indonesia and Vietnam may weaken as they strengthen diplomatic ties with North Korea. South Korea should reassess its defense ties with Southeast Asia and create a new strategy to counter North Korea's diplomacy. This incident highlights the importance of technological security. What do you think about North Korea's efforts to expand its diplomatic horizon towards Southeast Asia? Please share your thoughts in the comments as well. That's all for this video. Thank you.